after a successful game on the PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn that Capcom would want to make more Mega Man games for those systems, and they did. With the X series, in terms of classic Mega Man, Keiji Inafune and his team decided to make one final Mega Man game for the SNES, or more accurately, the Super Famicom. While plenty of people had moved on to the next console generation, there were still a lot of kids that had a Super Famicom, and so the Mega Man devs wanted to make a game for that system, and to help the development process, they would reuse a lot of Mega Man 8's sprite work to save on time, as well as make the game for Mega Man veterans. Rockman and Forte would come out in April of 1998, making it one of the last Super Famicom games the console would see. And just to put this in perspective as to how late that was, the Dreamcast would come out later that year, and the PS2 was only 2 years away. Of course, this game isn't known for its late release, rather it's known for how ball-bustingly hard it is. It's pretty much the only thing people ever talk about when discussion of this game is brought up. That, and until the game was ported to the Game Boy Advance, this would never leave Japan. For years, I've seen so many people on the internet say how Mega Man and Bass was one of the worst classic Mega Man games because of its quote-unquote bullshit difficulty, and I, having never played the game before and being rather impressionable, was inclined to agree. Until I played Dark Souls. I'm not kidding when I say Dark Souls is responsible for having me rethink how I view difficulty in games. Not to mention, this game has seen a growing number of defenders in recent years. Now for this video, we are focusing strictly on the Super Famicom version. I did give the GBA port a glance, and I noped out of that for one simple reason. This is the console version, and this is the GBA port. I also applied an English translation patch not only so I could understand the story, but also so I could understand what the items in the shop do. With all of that out of the way, let's take a look at if Mega Man and Bass is as bad as everyone says it is, or if it's truly overhated. Okay, let's get this out of the way first. The process of patching the ROM was a pain in the ass for me. I think I had a bad dump that was incompatible with the patch, so I had to do some
dumping my own legal copy
in order to get the patch to work, and even then, as you can clearly see, it ain't perfect. So right off the bat, we get the choice to play as Mega Man, or for the first time ever, Bass. Mega Man plays exactly like how he has been, except, unfortunately, he no longer has the ability to swim.
Oh no! Anyway,
Bass, on the other hand, has a rapid-fire buster that deals pitiful damage, but to make up for it, he can aim in multiple directions, dash like Mega Man X, and even has a double jump, making him excellent for platforming. For the sake of getting the full experience, I played through the game twice, once as each character. For the story, we must consult the manual as the game doesn't go into details. A robot named King has mysteriously appeared and made a declaration that robots shall rule over humans, and proceeds to evict Wily from his own castle to claim it for himself. Dr. Wily goes to Dr. Light, and the two agree to call a truce to deal with the new threat, with Mega Man and Bass heading out to stop King's uprising. We open at the entrance to the Robot Museum, returning from Mega Man 7, where it seems they actually did take some precautions in protecting the decommissioned Robot Masters with this brand new lava pit below, but it's clearly not good enough as King is able to grab the data of every Robot Master in the museum's collection. So immediately, you'll notice that this game's intro stage is definitely a step up in difficulty from the previous titles. I think the lava section with the fireballs descending down is proof of that. It's a little more challenging with Mega Man since the platforming is a little more strict for him, as opposed to Bass, who can clear most of these jumps with ease. Upon reaching King, we find Proto Man confronting him and demanding answers from him before Proto Man goes on the attack, only to fail and oh shit. I'm sure he'll be fine, just needs to spray some Windex on it. Mega Man and Bass confront King, who sicks the Green Devil returning from Mega Man 8 onto both of them. Now, I know what you're thinking. The first boss of this game is a fucking devil monster?! Truth be told, this thing is easier to dispatch of than in the previous game. It only has one attack with two variants, and they're both easy to dodge. Just keep blasting this asshole in the goo and shoot its core as much as possible. With Mega Man, it's not that bad. It's not bad with Bass either, but because of his low damage output, it can take a bit longer, but soon, the Green Devil is eradicated for good. Now for the boss selection menu, which looks pretty odd. So the way progression is handled in this game is you have 3 Robot Masters to start off with. Then, depending on which one you clear, will unlock more Robot Masters to beat. For example, beating Cold Man will unlock Burner Man and Pirate Man, while beating Astro Man will unlock Dynamo Man. You can also access Auto Shop from this menu, as well as the database of Robot Masters. Auto Shop functions like how it's been since Mega Man 7, and fortunately both are back to how they were in 7, in that they're dropped by enemies and aren't a limited resource like in 8. You also unlock more items as you progress in the game, and some stuff is exclusive to each character. Bass is able to get the treble boost, which just cheeses certain sections of stages. Meanwhile, Mega Man can get Eddie, the Rust Church, and Beat. Of course, there are some stuff that's shared between characters like the returning energy balancer, exit parts, and the new super armor. Just be aware that items like the super armor have to be equipped in the weapons menu. So it seems King must have Butterfingers because all over the levels in the game are these CDs that contain the data of various Robot Masters from the entire series. You can even check out the data in the database to get some neat background info on these characters. There's 100 CDs in total to collect, although I didn't go out of my way for them. They are at the very least shared across save files, so you don't gotta worry about being able to get them as specific characters. Also, side note, they even included data for Robot Masters exclusive to the Game Boy Mega Man games, and I think that's really cool that they acknowledge those, since those games tend to get looked over. I opted for Cold Man first, as from what I often hear, he is the only real option for starting this off, and this stage feels very similar to Frostman's stage from Mega Man 8, except the snowboarding section is gone.
Good.
Already, we can witness the increased difficulty in action as this stage has spikes galore, but with careful timing and strategizing, you can clear most of them with no issue. Also, remember to take advantage of those iframes whenever you can. The mini-boss of this level highlights a key difference when it comes to the bosses in this game between the two characters. Mega Man's Mega Buster, while it can't be aimed in multiple directions, is absolutely the better default weapon, as Bass will have a much harder time thanks to his Buster dealing so little damage. I find it to be a good way of balancing the two characters. Mega Man is great for combat, while Bass excels in platforming. Cold Man is definitely the easiest boss in the game and is a cinch to take down as either character. He'll form this ice wall and push it to the other side of the arena in an attempt to harm you. He'll also spew out these smog assholes that, if they envelop you, your movement is greatly reduced, and you can't fire your Buster. Fortunately, Mega Man can quickly put down Cold Man, and Bass, by God, he's still going. For putting a heated blanket on Cold Man, we get the Ice Wall, which isn't much of a weapon per se. I mean, you can use it to destroy enemies, just be careful and make sure you don't use it in a precarious spot or else... You can effectively use something like a platform, especially to cross beds of spikes. It's most useful for Mega Man in my opinion, and that's just because he's not as agile as Bass. Next up is Burner Man, whose stage starts off pretty simple, save for this tight interior section where they want you to take down these gorilla robots. Not to mention, this stage also likes to hide holes in the floor. It's not punishing if you fall through them, until higher up where they actually put spikes below you. You also have this spear trap room, which I oddly found easier going through as Mega Man. I don't get it either. The ladder section of this level, though, okay, so these large robots will come by and drop a bomb that causes an inferno that insta-kills you if you're caught in it, and while Bass can get around this no problem, Mega Man needs to exercise caution while here, especially the end bit, which felt borderline impossible until I realized I can use Ice Wall to give Mega Man the boost needed to reach this safe platform. Burner Man's fight is more like a puzzle if you ask me. He's weak to the ice wall, but not to the weapon itself, as it doesn't actually do damage to him. Instead, it pushes him into the spikes at the edge of his arena, and those are what damage him. You have to be cautious with him, as he loves to move as much as possible while throwing out these explosives, traps, and using his flamethrower. For pushing around Burner Man, we obtain the Wave Burner, which straight up is a flamethrower that waves up and down, which helps against grounded enemies. Also, its color changes if you're playing as Bass from red to green, which makes me wonder if Bass's arm cannon has copper in it. Now we must sail the 7 seas to find Pirate Man. This is the only underwater level in the game, and honestly, if you ask me, it's a completely missed opportunity to have this level take place on a pirate ship. Maybe have some pirate metal as the music in the background, you know, like Ailstorm and shit. That would be dope as fuck. It's a pretty unmemorable stage, but it's at the very least one of the shorter ones in the game. The only part that was somewhat interesting to me is this section where you could encapsulate Mega Man or Bass in a bubble, but I felt the movement was way too sensitive and the thing pops at the slightest touch of anything. At least you can just platform through this section, which honestly makes me question why these are even here. At the very least, the stage looks pretty. Well, the whole game does, actually. I think now is the best time to mention the visuals because, well, yes, we have gone back a console generation, which means the game isn't going to look or sound as good as Mega Man 8 did. This game still manages to look pretty great on its own merits. It's genuinely impressive to see the Mega Man 8 sprites looking this good on what was at the time 8-year-old hardware. I think it helps that the SNES was already a powerful 16-bit machine compared to its competition, so going back isn't that bad at all. Pirate Man will encourage us to download game ROMs free from... He'll fire mines in an attempt to blow us out of the water, as well as attack within a large bubble. While the wave burner doesn't shoot out flames underwater, it does launch these waves that damage Pirate Man, and if you pop that bubble he's in, then he'll get stunned for a few seconds. Okay, for sneaking Pirate Man's ship, we steal his remote bomb, which sends out this mine that you can actually control the movement of until it attaches to something where you can then detonate it at your own will. It makes me feel like Yoshikage Kira with Killer Queen, minus the whole, you know, killing innocent... Ground Man's level sees us delving into a dangerous underground dungeon filled with sand, but don't worry, you don't gotta worry about it getting everywhere. Fuck this mini-boss though, it takes a long time to deal with, since its head is its only weak point. It's easy to dodge its attacks, but I just want to get a move on, especially with Bass, who takes forever to put this thing down. The rest of the stage definitely picks up in difficulty, like this trapdoor section, which actually felt kind of claustrophobic, mainly due to the screen not scrolling up all the way when you climb the ladders. These spike rooms require such tight-ass movement, but you can just straight up skip it by destroying this statue that's embedded in the floor, and they even reward you with an extra life for doing so. The level's ending has these drills destroying the ground, making platforming a challenge, and as Bass I said, nope. As Mega Man though, it actually wasn't that bad. Sure, the Sniper Joe at the end is kind of a bitch to deal with, but truly, it's not that hard, which I find odd, because this is one of the places that people tend to bitch about. Ground Man being one of the 3 starting Robot Masters isn't that bad. His drill attack is a bitch to dodge, but he sparingly used it. No, instead, he often either did this drill tank attack, which I see that and I am reminded of the Emerald Hill boss from Sonic 2. He also will dig into the ceiling and... I can't lie, that spooked me the first time I saw it. The remote mine makes quick work of him and can even stop him from drilling into the ground and ceiling. For making Ground Man bite the dust, we get his spread drill, which will fire this massive drill that with the press of the shoot button will separate into smaller drills, allowing for a wide range of coverage. It can be pretty useful provided that you actually aim the thing properly. Returning from Mega Man 8 is Tengu Man. It's actually kind of cool to see a Robot Master return as a major boss instead of how Cut Man and Wood Man were in the previous game. So we got an auto-scroller, so ew, but truth be told, it's not that bad, except for this part. This platforming section where you have to be careful not to jump into the spikes. I've seen this consistently used as the go-to example of bullshit level design in Mega Man and Bass across so many YouTubers. I did this on my first try as Bass and on my second try as Mega Man. This brings me to my major talking point for this video. Mega Man and Bass's difficulty is blown way out of proportion. Is the game harder than most other Mega Man games? Yeah, sure. But just because a game is difficult doesn't mean it's bad. There's 2 types of difficulty for me. Hard yet fair and bullshit. Mega Man and Bass falls into the hard yet fair camp for me. The closest I felt to it becoming bullshit is getting blindsided by the Inferno and Burman stage for the first time. I'll give you that. I just can't get behind the idea that this game is bad just because it's hard. If hard truly equaled bad, then From Software would have gone out of business decades ago. Tengu Man makes the Ganondorf pose at us, thanks to T of Traffic for pointing that out in my previous video. Fortunately, he hangs low to the screen than he did in Mega Man 8, and as a result, you can just straight up snipe him with the spread drill, which knocks him down. You know what? Cold Man isn't the easiest boss in the game, it's Tengu Man. For drilling Tengu Man's holes, we get his Tengu Blade, which the best way I can describe this is that it's the Slash Claw from Mega Man 7, but with an added projectile attack after the initial slash. I think this is probably my favorite close-range weapon in the series thus far. It's good, reliable, and if you miss with it, then at the very least that projectile will act as a bit of a failsafe. Up next is Magic Man! His stage is very much just Clown Man's stage, but with a nighttime carnival aesthetic. Not that I mind that, truth be told, I prefer this to Clown Man's level. I prefer anything to Clown Man. Even Clown Man's mini-boss makes a return, but rather as a regular enemy that destroys the ground, which you need to let it do in order to progress to the rest of the level. I will say these spiked blocks towards the end of the stage can be a pain to work with as Mega Man. Bass naturally can climb up this part of the level with ease. Mega Man has to be a lot more cautious with it though. In fact, I think that's how you best play Mega Man and Bass, by the way. Be cautious and don't go rushing headfirst into things, or else that could very much cost you a life. Magic Man. Magic Man can throw some playing cards as his means of attack, as well as fire out magic balls. He can also throw down this capsule that, when it hits the floor, will spawn these tiny cuckoo birds that swarm you. Using the Tengu Blade on him point blank will stun him for a couple seconds, and now that I think about it, it's kind of funny that both him and Clown Man are weak to Tengu Man's weapons. Almost as if they're somehow maybe related. For exposing Magic Man's lies, we take his Magic the Gathering card, which is a fantastic weapon. You throw a playing card that, while it doesn't deal much damage, it does go through walls. It can even pick up items when it returns to the player. It helps that it can be aimed up, which sure doesn't really do much for Bass, but means a lot for Mega Man. Next up, also returning from Mega Man 8, is Astro Man. I'll be honest, I really liked Astro Man's stage in this game as opposed to his stage from the previous one. The Emerald City looking place in the background that is both on the ground and ceiling gives a cool sci-fi fantasy look to it. Also, this level is fucking amazing for grinding bolts. This screen can spawn enemies and they tend to be of the weaker variety, so we can just hang here and grind as much as we need to, and you bet your ass I took advantage of that as both Mega Man and Bass. This stage also has a minigame of sorts. It's Simon Says, just straight up, and it's not too difficult either. I didn't fail this once as either character. After that is a part of the level that is yet another level segment that people tend to complain about. These hidden platforms that can rise up in an attempt to smash you into the spiked ceiling. And yeah, sure, it is tight at times, but it's not really that hard. Yet another example of people over-exaggerating the difficulty of this game. The disappearing block section though, that is strict. Astro Man is nowhere near as easy as he was before. In fact, out of the 3 starting Robot Masters, I would say he's the hardest to take down. He can make these clones of himself that shoot electric energy balls and spawn enemies in the floor with this laser attack. Fortunately, the magic card is great for taking him down, not only because it's his weakness, but because you can also fire it up his ass. For playing our trap card on Astro Man, we get the Copy Vision, which is just Shadow Clone Jutsu. You spawn a clone of your character which remains in place and just fires its buster until it despawns. Attacks will also aggro onto it, so it's amazing for boss fights, especially the next one we have to deal with. It also could be good for grinding, so there's that aspect to it as well. Finally, we tackle Dynamo Man, and fuck this stage. I know what you're thinking. Is this where the bullshit level design of this game kicks in and is why everyone hates it? Nah, I just hate the conveyors. I don't really find them fun to work with since they change speed as you progress. Other than that, the level itself isn't bad. It's fine even. Holy hell, the mini-boss though. Okay, so first off, it's not exactly clear how you destroy the thing. I thought it was the servo robots themselves, but no, it's the pods that they spawn in from. I think it doesn't help that Bass deals so little damage that it feels like I'm doing nothing at all to the bastard, so it wasn't exactly clear if I was doing anything until I used the Copy Vision, which seemed to do the trick and defeat the boss. Dynamo Man is definitely the hardest boss in the game, and I'm glad I saved him for last. He loves to move from one side of the room to the other, all the while sending these electrical ball attacks at us, and those can either home in on you, or he can send them up into the ceiling and they then come crashing back down as giant bolts of electricity. That's not the worst part though, as he can hop into this charger and begin healing himself, and if you aren't quick, he can be back to full health in no time. He's weak to the Copy Vision, but you want to be careful on where you position it. Also, if you have the energy saver, use it so that you can get as much out of the Copy Vision as possible. With Dynamo Man's lithium-ion battery punctured, we get his lightning bolt. It's simply just a screen nuke, probably because they still had the Astro Crush frames and just said, to hell with it. There's really not much else to say about it, just use it to take care of a lot of enemies at once and have fun. Alright, with all 8 Robot Masters down for the count, we can head to this gate stage, which acts as a check to ensure that you've beaten all 8 Robot Masters. I would say this is unnecessary, but it also does make sure that you know how to use each special weapon, and for each room you clear, you get a giant bolt, which is worth 100 bolts, so yeah, worth it. Heading in the King's Fortress, we can spot that there are only 3 fortress levels. That's strange. King's Fortress 1 is your typical fortress level, a step up in difficulty, and it contains elements from various stages throughout the game, like the conveyors from Dynamo Man's stage. The only thing I don't like about this stage is these pillars in the foreground. They tend to get a little too much in the way for my liking. I think now is a good time to bring up the soundtrack of this game. It's fine for the most part. It's not my favorite Mega Man OST, hell, I think it's inferior to Mega Man 7's, but Mega Man and Bass does have some good tunes. Coldman's theme honestly sounds like it could be from the Mega Man X games, and it also has a bit of a nostalgic vibe to it. King's Fortress is straight up my favorite song in the game. It has the right amount of tension to it, I feel. It kind of makes up for what I'm about to go through in the next Fortress level. A Tetamino Proto is a unique fight in the series, so what you need to do is use this seesaw it's attached to lift it up so its head is exposed. Your best bet is to take care of it with the copy vision, all the while avoiding this damned monkey throwing shit at you. You also want to be sure you don't fall into that instant death lava. Speaking of which, for the love of God, when you kill the boss, get off that platform! You see, when you beat him... Damn. King's Fortress 2 gives us plenty of weapon energy items. It also has some hard platforming and some rather tight enemy placement, but it doesn't feel like anything out of the ordinary for the end game. And after only a couple of minutes, we've already reached the boss. King Tank is... okay, so it has 3 weak points and you have to destroy all 3 in order to win. The turret on its front will fire bullets, and just so you know, the shells don't deal damage. The head will expose itself and launch bombs out, and finally the hatch in the back will open up and send these little toy soldiers out that steal your bolts if they latch onto you. Each part is weak to the remote mine, lightning bolt, and ice wall respectively. Now my problem with this fight is that it's so slow and boring. Once it's down to its last part, which will probably be the hatch, you're pretty much just waiting and waiting and okay, so on the King's Fortress 3, that wasn't the stage boss? Alright then. King's Fortress 2.1 serves as the means for you to catch your breath and refill on weapon and health energy, as the platforming challenge here isn't really much. Next up is an auto-scroller boss against King J, and I was fully aware of this thing going in because of one of its attacks. So you have to chase the thing while platforming over a bottomless pit. It'll send out these bubbles containing healing items, but they can also contain a flashbang. There's also this laser attack that envelops the whole screen if it manages to fire, and finally, its most infamous attack, where it launches a fist that can destroy the platforms you stand on. Now that fist attack doesn't really mean much for Bass, but for Mega Man, you need to be quick to get to the next platform or else you won't be able to make the jump and you'll fall to your doom. It's a bit troubling, but it also rarely happened for me. I do think that the possibility shouldn't exist at all for that to happen. Either way, all you need to do is just stab it with enough spread drills, and we can move on to King's Fortress 3. So as for King's Fortress 3, oh my god, when will you end? Did someone just forget to split this level into 2? There's normally 4 fortress levels, so why does this game just say fuck it and keep going? Jesus Christ, make it stop! For the love of God, if you're playing this game and you aren't using save states or a rewind feature, bring 9 lives into this place, because if you get a game over at the end of King's Fortress 2, you have to do all of that all over again. Oh god, I need an aspirin. Finally, we confront King, who reveals to us that this game is brought to you by the letter X. You also want to keep an eye on that shield of his, as every time it gets hit, it'll fire out a powerful laser in retaliation. Shortly though, Proto Man shows up and channels all of his energy into one massive blow, which just destroys King's shield. Damn dude, you've been getting completely shit on this whole game, huh? King, however, rises up again as the real battle begins. He'll dash around the room while spinning his battle axe. He can also get in close for a powerful chop. However, it's easily telegraphed. He is weak to the lightning bolt, which chews through his health, so he can be taken down in no time. King begs for the duo to finish him off after warping Proto Man to safety. Mega Man tells him that he can come back to see Dr. Wright, who can make repairs on him. That is until he reveals that his body would explode if tampered with, a trait commonly shared with the creations of Dr. Wily. Yes, so Wily was the one who created King, and it's revealed that he was in control the whole time. Then, he on the spot upgrades King, with Mega Man and Bass giving chase. All three King machines then combine into the Jet King Robo, and holy hell, this is the most difficult fight in the game. It has a lot of the attacks from the King Jet combined with the King Tank. It has one weak point, that being King's head. Now, as Mega Man, you get this platform to help you reach that weak point, but Bass doesn't get that platform though, as he needs to dash jump into a double jump in order to gain the necessary height to hit it with the Wave Burner. After King Jet Robo is defeated, King tells us to get the hell out of there as the machine begins to explode, with his final words being telling the duo to make sure that more robots like him don't get made. And with that, King is gone as we finally leave King's Fortress 2. I was in that level for 30 minutes! At long last, we arrive at King's Fortress 3. This is the boss rush we've come to expect from Mega Man games, but oddly it's structured like how it was in Mega Man 1. So instead of picking which boss you want to take on, you just do them in order as you progress through the level. Now let's talk about this game's special weapon selection. There are some really good ones in here this go around. Ice Wall may not be good as a weapon, but it's amazing for platforming. Magic Card picking up items through walls is great, Tango Blade is awesome, and Lightning Bolt being a nuke makes it good by default. Truth be told, I don't think any of these are bad. They all have good applications. I just personally wish that there was a shield weapon in the game, but if that's the worst I have to say, then that's a really good sign. Mega Man and Bass's special weapon selection gets 9 sea basses out of 10 from me. Finally, we come face to face with Dr. Wily, who reveals his intentions was not only to take over the world, but also to get rid of Bass, as he views him as disobedient and worthless. This new Wily machine bears a strong resemblance to Wily Machine 8, but I don't find it as aggressive this time. Don't get me wrong though, you don't want to let your guard down around the thing. It'll mostly fire missiles, but it can also fire a laser attack and ram itself into the other side of the room. Everything can be dodged with either a simple well-timed jump or a slide. All you need to do to damage the machine is detonate remote bombs in its face, which shreds its health, and eventually it destroys the machine entirely. Of course, we ain't done yet, as Wily emerges in his Wily UFO. While this thing isn't too difficult, hitting it is, as the cockpit is its only vulnerable point. Its main mode of attack is energy balls that either shoot out in a spiral pattern or try to home in on you, like in the previous 2 games. He can also shoot out these bombs that can be destroyed, fortunately. After enough conks to the noggin, the UFO shatters and Wily surrenders to Mega Man and Bass. In Bass's ending, he questions this whole harebrained scheme of Wily's, with him claiming that he was simply just testing Bass. Now, truth be told, I don't believe that for a second, but he does show Bass plans for a King Model 2. Then Proto Man shows up, destroys it, and tells Bass that if he truly wants to be stronger than Mega Man, then he needs something to defend, something worth fighting for, to which Bass calls that pussy shit. Mega Man's ending is a lot more feel-good. He's welcomed back by his family, but is rather down in the dumps at the loss of King. That is until Roll hands him a letter from King, revealing that he made it out okay and is working to atone for his crimes, although, just like Duo in the previous game, we never see him again after this. And with that, we can end Vast Dude and Bubble Bass. Talk about a game that doesn't deserve the hatred, bashing, and beating. Mega Man and Bass is a hard game, But hard doesn't mean bad. I actually rather enjoyed this game and its higher than average difficulty. The special weapons are fun to use, the characters are balanced so that one isn't more powerful than the other, and the game is visually appealing. I hope more people come to see this game for what it truly is as time goes on. Mega Man and Bass deserves better. It's honestly kind of upsetting to me that Capcom often sweeps this game under the rug, as aside from re-releasing the GBA version on the Wii U Virtual Console, they have never re-released this game. It should have been in the Legacy Collection too, which would have been perfect for it. I don't know, maybe one day Capcom might actually put out the Super Famicom original with an official English translation. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I need a break from classic Mega Man for a bit. If truth be told, so did Capcom, as we wouldn't see another classic Mega Man game for almost a decade after this. When we do return to the Blue Bomber, we'll take on the rest of the classic series with Mega Man 9, 10, and 11. Hell, I'll even throw Mighty Number 9 in there because I imagine you guys might like to see me suffer every now and then. Subscribe to the channel if that sounds fun to you, and leave a like and a comment should you choose. And with all of that said, have a great day or night. Peace.